Good day, everybody. This is Andrew, and welcome to Assassin's Creed Unity, Episode 2. The episode that asks the question, how long could it possibly take to do nothing? Brought to you by Ruining These People's Day. It's amazing how far they fall from a sword being pulled out. That's what she said. No. Oh, look, somebody wants to have a fight. I think I was trying to knock him out right there, but now pay attention to this fight. You see how I'm trying to parry and the blade is just being deflected? It's because Arno at this point in time sucks with the sword. He doesn't know how to use it really, so he can't really fight properly. But I still won because I'm just that good. So let's take this guy's stuff. Yeah, easy win. So this episode is the only one of its kind. I'm never going to make an episode like this again because it's far too long. And all I'm doing in this episode is collecting treasure chests and other collectibles in Versailles. And it's boring. And right here, actually, I'm trying to finish the guy off. But I don't have the hidden blade, so I can't do it. So he takes this instead. Teabag! Haha! So yeah, like I said, this episode is gathering treasure chests, collectibles, talking about random stuff. I would personally find it boring myself to watch an episode like this, especially for the length of it. So that's why I'm never going to do another one of these episodes again. This is the one and only time you'll ever see this kind of episode. The rest of them will be mission-based only, and yeah, that's about it. So, first things first, we need to get to the viewpoint and reveal the locations of all the treasure chests and the collectibles. Now, on to the collectibles. I'm going to collect one in this episode shortly, but I have a problem with them that I would like to let you know about. And that's that in previous Assassin's Creed games, I think it started with 2. Yeah, it definitely did start with 2, but I don't know if it stopped with Revelations. No, it stopped with Assassin's Creed 3, I believe. Anyways, you could buy a map that would show you the location of all the collectibles. In this game, when you use a viewpoint, it will show you every treasure chest in the area without fail. But it won't show you every collectible in the area without fail. It will show you some in the immediate vicinity, but in order to find all of them, you have to run around the area and hope that it shows up on the map. And that's the only way to collect all of them. And it's annoying because, as you can imagine, Assassin's Creed maps are pretty big, especially 3, but this one is pretty big too. Actually, the past few have been pretty big. So it becomes quite tiresome and tedious to find them all. And to get the trophy, you need 120 collectibles. But the real reason to get the collectibles is because collecting the specific ones, which I will talk about when I get one, unlock a color scheme, the best one in the game. Which I'll talk about in a moment after I talk to you about this. Quick cut right there. I did that because that chest is a special chest. It's known as an AC, or Assassin's Creed, Initiate's chest. It opens when you get to a certain level in the metagame Assassin's Creed Initiates. To gain levels in that game, you have to play Assassin's Creed games and fulfill certain tasks relevant to AC Initiates. Things like free running, stealth killing, using specific items to kill enemies, blah, 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 that kind of thing. The more you do it, the more experience points you get, so the more levels you get. and then you can open up corresponding chests depending on your level and initiates. I wanted to show you all of that in the relevant screen, but the PS4 doesn't record instances where you leave the game and enter an internet app relevant to the game. So I had to cut that because it would have been like a minute of doing nothing. Fight sequence! Take him from behind. It's funny because the guy said that he had 10 inches of steel to show him. So, yeah. As you notice, this combat, it really isn't very different from the other AC games. Basically what they did was they took out the counter move that allowed you to instantly win. That's basically all they did. They replaced it with parry, and they forced you to be able to only swing your weapon 3 times, I guess, per turn. So it's kind of turn-based, but kind of not. And as you can see, there are still brutes in this game. You can't parry them. You have to dodge them. And in that instance, it's best to have a fast weapon than a slow weapon, because it's likely that he'll swing again before you have a chance to land an attack on him if you have a slower weapon. I almost died there, but it was lucky for me that I had some medicine. Yes, let's steal all your stuff. I really wished I could have finished them off, but, you know, don't have the hidden blade, so. And there I'm showing you that I had medicine, and that's how I was able to heal myself up. I've never had more than 5, I believe. I think you can get more than 5 through equipment, but I can't remember if I've ever had more than 5. So what was I talking about before? I don't remember. AC initiates and collectibles. I'll talk more about the collectibles when I get one. For now, yeah, this game, like, the combat isn't really different, like I just said, but actually most of this game isn't too different. Oh, I just got a collectible. This one is the one I was talking about for the color schemes. It's called a cockade. The more you collect, the more color schemes for equipment you unlock. And the best color scheme, or the one that I think is the best, it requires 100 of those. And there are 120 in the game. So you can imagine how difficult it would be to get all of them when you are effectively just running around hoping that they show up randomly on your map. It's kind of annoying. I wish that there was a map that you can buy or something like that. There is a way to show all the collectibles on screen, and that's through what's known as the helix points. And those are part of the problem with Assassin's Creed Unity. They are points that you can get through Uplay. And I think there's some other way of getting them. I don't remember. But essentially, once you use them, they're gone. And you have to buy more, like with real-world money. And that's part of the microtransaction problem that people have with this game. But for something like 100 helix points, you can unlock the locations of every collectible on the map. And unfortunately, I used my helix points for something else. I believe it was for upgrading a weapon or something. Because they are used for multiple things, right? And so, you know, I didn't get a chance to use it for unlocking all the locations of the collectibles. By the way, sorry if I sound a little stuffy. There's a little virus or flu or something going around. I don't think I have it, but it is starting to catch up with me. And so you might notice me sniffling and stuff like that. And I really don't want to spend time editing that out. So I hope you can forgive me for that. Now, the parkour system in this game. It is a lot more fluid, a lot more smooth than the other games, but it still has its hang-ups. I like the descent options now, where you can slowly descend, well, more quickly descend down a building rather than in the other AC games where you either had to really take your time going down or jump to your death. I like that. But this still has the problem of being incredibly buggy. It's like Arno is glue, and he like sticks to everything. And it can be very tiresome when you're running around with a lot of furniture or people. Well, you can't stick to people, but a lot of objects that you can climb onto. And I don't think that they can actually fix that, really. If they want to make a series where you can climb up and down everything, then that's always going to be a problem. I don't see how you could fix that, really. Unless you started making things unclimbable that would normally be climbable, I don't see it being fixed anytime soon. So yeah, what's next about this game? I talked about combat. I talked about the parkour system. I talked about collectibles. And I'm gathering treasure chests. I could talk about the treasure chests. I'll probably go into more about this in future episodes now that I remember it. But basically there are 4 kinds of treasure chests. The white ones are the generic low-level treasure chests. You can get something between 100 and I think 300 livres, which is odd because it looks like the symbol that represents the money. Oh, here I I was looking everywhere for the chest, and I'm like, there it is. Can you believe that? There it is. Like, yeah. I sometimes I can't find chests that are staring me right in the face. But yeah, anyways, the symbol for the livre looks like an F, so I would guess it would be francs, but time period and stuff. Anyways, yeah, the white chests, they can give you something like 100 to 500 livres. And then there's the yellow chests, which I showed you. They are the AC Initiates chests. They unlock, so far they've unlocked for me livres. Something like 3,000, I think, is the highest I've gotten. Received. I can't speak well. And they also unlock an outfit. I don't know if they only unlock the one outfit, because it requires you to be leveled to certain degrees, and I don't bother checking my AC Initiates level, and so I don't bother going for the chests. And then there are 2 more chests. The red chests are locked chests, and they are higher level depending on the level of lockpicking skill you need. And those are the better chests. And then there's a 4th chest, which is green, which I will talk about later because I try to go for one. And yeah. Suffice it to say that the green chests also represent another problem with this game that people have. That brings me to another thing that I want to talk about. Lately, a lot of people have been expressing all kinds of problems that they have with the Assassin's Creed series as a whole. They say, oh, it needs to take a break, it's this, that, the other, buggy, unfinished, poor this, bad that, everything like that. And they use this game as their prime example as to why the series needs to take a break. Now, personally speaking, I love this game. It has its hang-ups, but every game does. And I'm not going to sit there and, act like I hate it. Now, here's the chest I was talking about. This is the green chest. It's called a Nomad chest. The only way you can open it is by playing the companion app on a smartphone. Yeah. That's what people have a problem with part 2 or 3 or whatever, how many problems you want to list. But that's one of the problems that they have with this game, is that you can't open every chest unless you have AC Initiates, which requires a Uplay account, and a smartphone capable of running the companion app. And that I can agree with. That's some bullshit right there. You know, if you're gonna have chests that can only be opened via a companion app, then what they should do is at the beginning of the game. I love ruining people's lives. Well, they were yelling at me. They deserved it. Okay, you can't just start. Oh, get out of here! I'm gonna pull my sword out on you, and I'm gonna scare you. Look, they're still doing it. They didn't learn. They just didn't learn. You know, get out of my way. Move now. I told you to move. Yeah, that's right. So back to the Nomad thing. If you're going to have chests in a game that you can't open unless you have a companion app, then they should, when the game loads at the beginning, they should have the game scan for whether or not the companion app has been used or activated somehow, and just remove those chests from the game. That way people don't see them, they don't get upset that they can't open them, and it's not a problem. You know, the companion app should be just an option, and it is, but it should be something that doesn't, you look at it and you're like, well, I can't open that chest now because I don't have a smartphone capable of running this app. And why should I have to run this app just to open up a damn chest? I friggin' don't get it. You know? That's stupid. That and the microtransactions are definitely the worst part of this game. Even if they're optional, it's really stupid. Now, other reasons people don't like this is because of the bugs. Personally speaking, and you will definitely see this through my playthrough, I have very little bug issues. People are talking about how... You want me to come over there and crush you, pellets? Let's see what this happens. Let's see how this goes. I can't talk today. I don't know why. I'm doing... see, I hate the camera angles. When you're trying to fight, you can't see anything. And this early in the game, you have to dodge everything. So it makes fighting quite difficult. Especially against the brutes and... As you can see, I'm not even really attacking much. I'm constantly dodging, using my medicine because I get hit. It's not easy at the beginning of the game. Now, if this was any other Assassin's Creed game, I would have won by now. So I suppose when they say that the combat is more difficult, they aren't exactly lying, but later in the game, it still becomes, you know, much, much easier. It almost kind of is like the counter insta-death win from the previous games. And yes, run away, live to fight another day. Now, what the hell was I talking about before? Ah, yes, the problems that people have, the bugs and everything like that. You'll see through my playthrough, I have very little bug issues in this game. People are talking like there's rampant frame rate drops and rampant textures not loading and all kinds of massive problems with this game, but I hardly have any. Like, the only slowdown I ever notice is in a few cutscenes, and sometimes when you're running through a crowd, Arno slows down, but it doesn't look like it's a frame rate issue, more like a game mechanic issue. And dead. I was shot. Yeah, the guns, man. In this game, the guns are terrible. Yeah, I keep getting sidetracked. Anyway. I have very few problems with bugs in this game. So, for me, this has been a very good game, stable, playable, fun, you know, even though it has all its hang-ups like all games do. So, I think I'm of the opinion that half of the people who say that the series needs to die or take a break or blah blah blah, half of them either haven't played the game or are just jumping on a hate bandwagon. And the other half are just fed up with the game not running the way they want it to. And yeah, I can understand, especially if you have the PC version, you know, that your game should be running the best. And it's not. It's probably the worst version, I would say, because of the fact that Ubisoft seems to not really care about PC gamers too much. Yeah, that would annoy me too. But from my point of view, the game runs well. I like it. So why am I going to say that I don't like it and I want the series to die? I love this series. I really love this series a lot. My favorite in the entire series is the first game, the very first one, because I love the setting, I love the story, and Altair is my favorite assassin because of his professional, no-nonsense assassin attitude. So I don't want it to take a break, and I don't want it to die and all that nonsense. My opinion on that is that when people say stuff like that, they are only thinking of themselves. They don't think about the people who, like me, don't have any issues with this game and like the series and, you know, would rather not have to wait for 2-3 years for another installment to come out. But on the other hand, I can definitely understand that Ubisoft is, you know, really rushing these games out. I know that they use multiple teams to make these games, but that's where some inconsistencies appear. For example, if you play Assassin's Creed Rogue, it is a lot like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and very different to this game. That's because a completely different team handled it. In Rogue, you still have the counter and insta-kill mechanic. You have the hide behind something and then whistle to make an enemy come to you and then kill him mechanic, which is absent in this game. And you have the human shield mechanic where if an enemy's about to shoot you, you can grab somebody and have them take the bullet for you, which is absent in this game. So that's more of a traditional Assassin's Creed, whereas this one is the newer version. And that's very apparent. And about the sorry, I really can't talk today. That's quite telling of how the different teams work and how much they don't communicate with each other. Unless for some reason mechanics present in Unity couldn't be functional in previous gen consoles like PS3 and Xbox 360. I have no idea about that, but then again, I have no idea about this game and its supposedly CPU bound architecture and stuff. So that's my take on the bugs and everything. But as I play through this, you'll see pretty much the extent of the bugs that I get. And it's not very many. In my previous playthrough that I didn't record, I fell through the game world twice. And only twice throughout my entire playthrough. And that was actually kind of funny, if I have to say so. And the other bugs that I got, I already mentioned that I only seen some frame rate drops in cutscenes. Arno slows down in crowds. Oh, yes. And there's the, quote, the flash glitch, where a specific NPC will move across a room at speeds so fast you can barely see him. And only in certain instances. It's quite funny. You might see that in the future. I'm not sure if I ever recorded that. And other than that, there's this weird flickering like floor texture in this one area of the game where it looks like a fluorescent light is on and about to go out. You know how they flicker? Yeah. Other than that, that's the extent of the bugs that I've had. I mean, I haven't had a game crash. I haven't had that weird face glitch, that you've seen online probably. It's a picture where it shows that the actual facial textures didn't load, so all you see is teeth and eyes. Yeah, I haven't had that. I have had some pop-in, like with NPCs and stuff, but I guess that's just because they haven't used the Dynasty Warriors engine for the amount of people on screen. So that's really the extent of the bugs that I've had. It's not really bad. That's why I, don't really have a problem with this game. So, now we're going to move on to the way that I record these episodes. I've recorded several of them. I think I would venture to say around 8. I can't remember, actually. It's occupied quite a bit of space on my my drive. But anyways, some people thought that I had recording equipment, and I don't. I use the PS4's built-in DVR, and I record about 15 minutes of playthrough, because that's the maximum that you can record with the PS4's DVR. I record 15 minutes of playthrough multiple times, and then through editing, I piece them together to make an episode. This is why you'll see some fade-out cuts. And that means that the end of that particular 15 minutes has come, and I'm just transitioning into the next clip. I wish I didn't have to do that, but until several things change, I won't be able to record the way people traditionally record. I need a new computer, which requires money that I don't have. And so, that might happen one day, but for now, this is the way that I started recording. Then I came up with a different approach, which I won't be able to try for a while because I have to go through the episodes that I've recorded this way before I can try it. But the PS4 also lets you broadcast to Twitch. And I know from seeing some YouTube videos that you can take that Twitch broadcast and upload it to YouTube. So if I can stream my playthrough from the PS4 onto Twitch, then take the archived video and and edit it on my computer, I can then upload it onto YouTube without all these unnecessary cuts. My thing about that is I don't know. Now, it says you need the PlayStation Eye if you want people to see and hear you. For me, that's not an issue. I would rather have my videos uploaded to YouTube for my subscribers, and so I could just put in the title "No commentary" and play through the game. The other thing is I don't know if the PlayStation camera is an absolute requirement. What I mean by that is, will the PS4 broadcast on Twitch without the camera, or will the system force you to have the camera plugged in order to do it? So if anybody has any experience with that, feel free to leave in the comments your experience with that, and let me know if I can do it or if I can't do it. If I can do it, once I'm finished with the episodes I've currently recorded using my current method, I will begin doing so with my ghetto solution on Twitch. And that means that I will probably be able to do some live commentary much easier, and the episodes won't be so fragmented, because this episode is about 40 minutes long, and it involves 3 clips. 2 are 15 minutes, 1 is about 11 minutes, and that's 2 cuts. That's 2 fade-out cuts. And I think I do them well enough that they aren't such a big deal. But, I mean, if I can avoid having to make those kind of cuts, I definitely will. because that's a better experience for you all. It's less immersion breaking. And, you know, it's all about you. So, I have been rambling on for about 30 minutes now. And I've covered about everything I want to talk about when it comes to this game and when it comes to my recording and everything. So, I could talk about what I'm doing now in the game, but it's fairly pointless. I'm doing nothing but running, looking for treasure chests. But I can say that I'm glad they kept the tree climbing in. It would be stupid if they took it out, obviously, but you never know. What I really don't understand, though, is that, again, Arno is not an assassin at this point. How does he know how to climb this way? He was raised as a nobleman's son. So I don't see how he should know how to climb like this. It's those little, you know, plot holes and gameplay mechanic holes that are just part of the mystery of game development. I can imagine somebody in the planning of this game must have brought that up. How come Arno knows how to climb like that when he's not an assassin yet? And then him being told, he just does, okay? He is part monkey. It's like they explained the way Edward could climb in Black Flag by saying that because he was a pirate and had to climb up and down ship masts all day, he knows how to climb. That's just the weakest explanation for a plot hole that I've ever heard in my life. And for Arno, they didn't even give any explanation. Although I suppose I could look online and find one, but I'm too lazy for that. So, what should we talk about in the meantime? Oh, I know. Square Enix and their bullshit. Ugh. First, the Final Fantasy VII troll at PlayStation experience. Okay? That was bad enough. But now, they're releasing a bundle Final Fantasy of the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy for the PS4. The 3 games in the Final Fantasy franchise that are most hated, almost universally hated, the 3 games that people are sick of, starring the character that nobody wants to see anymore, Square Enix decides to bundle it and release it on the PS4. Why? The only reason that I can think of... Oh, wait though. We gotta ruin these people's good time. Okay? They're screaming. They're all out in the streets, causing a ruckus. It's dangerous. This is a fire hazard, okay? It's time for you all to leave. Oh, I love how they fall. I also love how these people playing the music, they drop their instruments but don't move until you put the sword away. It's you're afraid of the sword being sheathed instead of it being wielded. It's hilarious. But yeah, Square Enix. They're idiots. Okay? I can only think of one reason why they would release the bundle for the PS4. They are so intent on making Lightning the new iconic character to represent Final Fantasy that they will shove her in everybody's face as much as possible, hoping that people will forget about Cloud. But that's not possible because Lightning is essentially the female version of Cloud. So every time that Lightning appears in any game, people start to think about Cloud because she's moody like him, and an ex-military person like him, blah 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 She's also the worst character in... Well, no, I don't like Vanille. Okay, second worst character. Yeah, so I really don't like Final Fantasy 13. The entire trilogy, I hate it. I don't understand why Square Enix is wasting their time putting this bundle on the PS4 when almost nobody's going to buy it. If you look at the sales of the trilogy, Final Fantasy 13 across both platforms sold about 6.5 million, I think. And that is based purely on expectation. People thought Final Fantasy 13 was going to be a good game because Square Enix had a reputation. Well, Squaresoft had a reputation of making the very first Final Fantasy of a new console generation a masterpiece. And you could see that with Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy X. Both amazing games, although Final Fantasy VII is not one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. It's on the bottom because, it's overplayed and blah, blah, blah. But that's another story. Anyway, they have a reputation of making the first game of a new console generation an absolute masterpiece. And the only thing I can say about Final Fantasy 13 that is close to a masterpiece are the graphics and the soundtrack. The gameplay sucks. The story sucks. Most of the characters suck. Yeah, it's terrible. And that comes from one of the developers wanting his games to have more of a first-person shooter style progression, in that the character has less control over the story via less control over the game in general. And I'm sorry, but that's not how RPGs work. RPGs are about depth and exploration and doing as much as you can. You can't take an RPG and make it have shooter progression unless you want to make it something like, I guess, Mass Effect. I don't know. But I really don't like that kind of style. And I'm not the only one. And then if you look at Final Fantasy 13-2, it sold less than half of the sales of the first game. And that's because people played the first game and were pissed off at it. They didn't like that it took 20 hours before anything good started to happen. Like, before you could move away from linear corridor exploration. And that was the biggest thing. And then there was the press X to win mechanic. And I don't care what people say. Oh, you must not have played through most of the game if you think press X to win was the best strategy. You make your party 2 Ravagers and 1 Commando, and press X to win is press X to win. You freaking win that way. The only time that changes is in a boss fight or in the later areas of the game where the enemies are much tougher. That's the only time. And then the only thing you're doing is switching your paradigms back and forth. So it's basically press X, then I think R1 to switch your paradigm, and then X again. It's really just a 2-button game. And I suppose you could say the same about most Final Fantasy games that force you to choose an attack and let it go off. But at least you have a choice. You can control other characters. You can vary up your, battles and stuff. In Final Fantasy 13, it's not like that. And then Lightning Returns, the most pointless game in the franchise. I don't even know how much it sold. I don't even care to know how much it sold. All I know is that people do not like the trilogy. And so if Square Enix thinks people are going to buy the trilogy for the PS4 and forget about Final Fantasy VII Remake and stuff, they got another thing coming. That's all I got to say about that. I'm looking at the time, and the episode is almost over. So, let's see. Anything to close up on? Jeez, I'm really stuffy today. I hope that's not too much of a problem for you all. I just really don't feel like editing out the audio for it. 40 minutes, having to listen to all of it. I I actually didn't want the episode to be this long. I didn't know it was going to be this long, but the way I recorded the clips made it have to be this long. But anyways, the episode is now coming to an end, so I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to be able to record this stuff better in the future for you. So until next time, bye for now.